Just waiting for the YouTube to start. Okay, started. Okay. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gaurvani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashyate Deshitarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Nam Hare Hare. So we continue today, dear devotees. From last week, we were talking about what kind of leader, what are the duties of a leader, and we came to this kind of stage in our discussion last week about which varna he must be, because the duties can get related and can get intertwined with that. And we started talking about maybe a group of different stages, different groups of classifications of devotees we were talking. Either a one Brahman becoming a Kshatriya in Devi Varnashram communities, a group of Brahmanas taking over, or a Kshatriya kind, or even a Vaishya, qualified Vaishya, who, like in a Varna, he's doing that, but also doing the Kshatriya duties, because Gauranga Sundar Prabhu was saying that nowadays the Vaishyas will give the money and then they will be very much concerned about how to run it, so they may start running it. So we were discussing different pros and cons of this kind of um, management structure, or leadership structure, and kind of we were getting to this conclusion. I don't know if it was agreed conclusion, but in my mind I started thinking and started to make conclusion that in emergencies, Bhagavatam talks about in emergencies many times one can do different duties, different varna duties, but the most important to keep the Devi Varnashrama concept, the going towards Krishna, the pure devotional platform, is that the advisors, the devotees who are Brahmanically inclined, they should be there should be a group of devotees guiding. Then any kind of emergency situation of the leader can be managed. I mean, that has to be discussed more, much more in detail. But this is where we are. So I thought, why don't we discuss this part about the qualifications of the leader, and then we can keep discussing this churning, because this is the most important problem and important constituent of a devotee community in a farm, because this can make or break this governance structure. So let us discuss this. Of course, I was thinking we discuss the, yes, Prabhu, Hari Kirtan Prabhu.
Just whenever you are finished, I'd like to
Oh no, why? Please go ahead.
contribute.
This is a
Just hearing what you're discussing, the topic and you know, and this comes to mind. A lot comes to mind in regards to this, which you may have all discussed previously. I was not part of last week's discussion, so I apologize if I'm bringing up things that have already been uh, been mentioned or discussed. And it's just that what comes to mind for me this regard is that while anyone can perform the functions of a leader, they can take that position in an emergency. One of the big reasons that I've seen for the necessity of different varnas in different positions is because of the nature of the individual. You know, what one person or another is not
not
like
able to hear you, Prabhu, clearly. The last one or two sentences.
good enough or
Not able to hear you, Prabhu.
in.
No, not able to hear you. Hare Krishna, Hare Kirtan Prabhu, we really wanted to hear you. It seems there's some network issue. We'll wait for just a couple of seconds, and then otherwise we start doing discussing going forward, and we'll wait for Prabhu's. Okay, so we'll continue, and whenever Prabhu is able to fix the issues, then we will be able to continue with that discussion. So I thought let's discuss, let's hear from.
Hare Krishna, can you hear me?
Yes, now we can, Prabhu.
Oh, okay, okay. Yeah,
Yes.
so I don't know where I left off, but I was saying that um so you have different qualities, even if everyone is a Vaishnava, there are different qualities. So I have seen communities where there are those of a Brahminical nature that are involved in managing the community. And in general, that tends to be very, very nice because they tend to be very, very analytical individuals. Very, they want to look at the situation. They're very compassionate and patient with people. This tends to be their natural inclination of how they approach situations. But the difficulty comes when you have a situation that requires some sort of
Yeah.
firmness or some sort of punishment,
Mm-hmm.
because this is antithetical to the Brahminical nature. The nature is not to want to punish. The nature is to see everyone in a more compassionate light, and in that, we need to understand and we need to forgive, and that's naturally there. And Srila Prabhupada, he speaks about how the nature of the Brahmanas is to be forgiving. And this is where it is important in the nature of the Kshatriyas, having them in a managerial position, that actually he says that it is not, they should not be too forgiving. They have to be willing to punish. And I've seen this become very problematic in communities, because those that have caused trouble, they have caused some distress, or they have hurt others in the community. When they go unpunished, it cascades throughout the community, and it causes problems. And so I see these two different natures, this interplay. Um, you know, so it can be, the individual, the devotee that is taking the position may be a Vaishnava, but if their nature is not inclined toward that position, it can be very problematic. And so having a Brahmana or a Vaishya in that position of leadership often doesn't work out so well.
I know
The
this is
Vaishya,
such a great point you're making, Prabhu.
the Vaishya temperament
Mm-hmm.
leans towards profitability, that they
Yeah.
see, that there's a
Yeah.
profit involved.
Yeah.
And that can be extremely valuable and very necessary for
Mm-hmm.
certain parts of the community development and such. But when that sometimes that can become unrestricted, and the community can suffer for the pursuit of profitability, and this can become problematic. So while this is where my current understanding, I'm please welcome any correction or well, my current understanding is that these natures that are already within everybody, these are the natures that are there to be utilized in different areas of society. And so those that are, the Kshatriya nature tends to be um more strict with the rules, and more of the mindset of this, sure, compassion is necessary, we need to understand, but there are certain rules that have to be followed for the benefit of the whole community, and they're willing to uphold those and you know maintain that. And it's not a pleasant position, not a pleasant job to do or to be in, but that is their nature. So, and that's necessary for that position. So that's my thoughts in regards to that. I'd like to hear everybody's input on that. And yeah.
This is very, very important point you're making, bro. That's what I was thinking of discussing today too. The qualities of a Kshatriya, Vaishya, Brahmin, in an emergency, the problem will be that you end up with either Brahmin Kshatriya or even a Vaishya Kshatriya or a passionate Kshatriya, not so much like Brahminically, like, Brahma Rishi, Brahma Kshatriya. What is it? No, Rajarshi, Rajarshi, both qualities. So you end up with these kind of not ideal leaderships. And it's just not one Kshatriya in a community. There are many managers. See, and they all, if they are all qualified, because there are many, many activities happening, many departments, many, institution, like Varnashrama institution doesn't mean just one person, it is a lot of activities. So this problem will, even if there is a very ideal Kshatriya, let's say Rajarshi at the head of any community, you end up with many times the situation where even the sub um, departments, let's say, they will have these kind of Kshatriyas. Not sorry, these kind of leadership where it is more Brahminically inclined, more Vaishya inclined. So how do we handle this situation? Even if we end up with the somehow we end up with the Rajarshi kind of leaders in a community.
I think that's why it's so valuable that the leader may be one person, but you have an advisory group. Like they must have good advisors,
Mhm.
and that's where the compassion, the this greater, deeper understanding and such that comes from
Mhm.
elders of any varna, but just seniors. That these devotees, they have lived a life, they have learned through experience, they have so these seniors are very valuable advisors, and then those of the Brahminical nature as well. You know,
And
so
yeah,
that
please go ahead.
that's just that capacity that's really really important. But having the executive, someone who is going to make those decisions, be someone willing to, okay, I hear the advice and I can see, okay, now from all the input, this is the way forward. And I'm going to take this action. And I'm also going to take responsibility for what comes after the action, because that's important, that the leader is willing to take responsibility that I made this decision. I'm not passing off the responsibility to someone else that, oh, you advise this and you advise that. It's like, okay, you made the advice, that's fine. But I chose what advice to take and what to listen to. And so, like you were saying, there are many leaders. Every leader in their different capacities, they have to be willing to take that responsibility and to also make the choice that, okay, yes, this is the direction we are going.
Mhm.
So
And then the manage all the managers, the humility to want to take, first of all, to understand that I am insufficient. That's the core quality required, because if one is not thinking I need advice, or is just like a formality of advice, I've already decided what I'm going to do, or why do I need,
yes,
so many incidences in the scriptures are there. Bhagavatam is
yes,
describing.
humility is so critical for that uh, function or that purpose. That's taking that position. It's so important.
Knowing that I'm not sufficient. That is, and the philosophical basis is that I want to read this. I was thinking of reading King Mriga's pastime, where Krishna talks about the the qualities. Let me get to that. Please carry on while I bring that up in in anything. King Mrga. Here, I have it anyway.
Does anyone else have any insight or experiences that can reflect on this that maybe you've seen in a community or you've experienced personally or something of that nature? I'd be very interested to hear.
Let's carry on after this. This is the story of King Mrga from the second volume of Krishna book. And this was, of course, this king, great king, who used to give so much charity of cows and every kind of charity to brahmanas. But one time, he, by mistake, the cow he had given in charity to a brahmana, it came back to Krishna, to the group of cows of the king back again on her own, and then king then donated in charity to another Brahmin without knowing. And then these two Brahmins, they fought with each other, and they both cursed the king to become a lizard, so which he became. And Krishna, of course, delivered King Mriga, and then he went in his form to the to the demigod's planet. So here I was explaining that Krishna, after having all this thing, he started speaking about how a Kshatriya class should treat the Brahmins. Lord Krishna expressed his appreciation for the king's devotion to the Brahmins, as well as his charitable disposition and his performance of Vedic rituals. At this time, Lord Krishna was present among his relatives who were members of the Kshatriya class. To teach them through the exemplary character of King Mriga, he said, even though a Kshatriya king may be as powerful as fire, it is not possible for him to usurp the property of a Brahmin and utilize it for his own purpose. If this is so, how can ordinary kings who falsely think of themselves the most powerful beings within the material world usurp a Brahman's property? I do not think that taking poison is as dangerous as taking a Brahman's property. For ordinary poison, there is treatment. One can be relieved from its effects. But if one drinks the poison of taking a Brahman's property, there is no remedy for the mistake. The perfect example was King Riga. He was very powerful and very pious, but due to the small mistake of unknowingly usurping a Brahman's cow, he was condemned to the abominable life of a lizard. Ordinary poison affects only those who drink it, and ordinary fire can be extinguished simply by pouring water on it. But the Arani fire, ignited by the spiritual potency of a Brahman, can burn to ashes the whole family of a person who provokes such a Brahman. Formerly, the Brahmins used to ignite the fire of sacrifice not with matches or any other external fire, but with their powerful mantras called Arani. If someone even touches a Brahman's property, he is ruined for 3 generations. However, if a Brahman's property is forcibly taken away, the taker's family for 10 generations before him and for 10 generations after him will be subject to ruination. On the other hand, if someone becomes a Vaishnava or devotee of the Lord, 10 generations of his family before his birth and 10 generations after will become liberated. Lord Krishna continued, if some foolish king who is puffed up by his wealth, prestige, and power wants to usurp a Brahman's property, it should be understood that such a king is clearing his path to hell. He does not know how much he has to suffer for such unwise action. If someone takes away the property of a very liberal Brahman who is encumbered by a large dependent family, then such a usurper is put into the hell known as Kumbhipak. Not only is he put into this hell, but his family members also have to accept such a miserable condition of life. A person who takes away property which has either been awarded to a Brahman or given away by him is condemned to live for at least 60,000 years as miserably as an insect in stool. My God. Therefore, I instruct you, all my boys and relatives present here, do not, even by mistake, take the position of a Brahman and therefore pollute your whole family. If someone even wishes to possess such property, let alone attempts to take it away by force, the duration of his life will be reduced. He will be defeated by his enemies, and after being bereft of his royal position, when he gives up his body, he will become a serpent. What is going on, my God? A serpent gives trouble to all other living entities. My dear boys and relatives, I therefore advise you that even if a Brahman becomes angry with you and calls you by ill names or cuts you, still you should not retaliate. I therefore advise you that even if a Brahman becomes angry with you and calls you by ill names or cuts you, still you should not retaliate. On the contrary, you should smile, tolerate him, and offer your respects to the Brahmin. You know very well that even I myself offer my obeisances to the Brahmins with great respect 3 times daily. You should therefore follow my instruction and example. I shall not forgive anyone who does not follow them, and I shall punish him. You should learn from the example of King Niga that even if someone unknowingly usurps the property of a Brahmin, he is put into a miserable condition of life. Thus, Lord Krishna, who is always engaged in purifying the conditioned living entities, gave instructions not only to his family members and the inhabitants of Dwarka, but to all the members of the human society. This is, I don't have any words to say. I'm so scared. Any comments from this?
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
I have lots of question on the just now which we have read.
Okay.
Yeah, Prabhu, like it's mentioned like that na, like Brahmanas even na, if they insult us or like they call with ill names, still we have to tolerate. So like is it also na, like when other devotees maybe like maybe they were very fed up on us, or maybe they want to criticize us, blaspheme us, or maybe call with ill names, or tell some rumors and all these things. So, and here tell again, we should be giving a smiling face. So, like how to understand like the and it's also mentioned in other places now, like even if one is a Vaishnava, if his behavior is not proper, we should give respect from outside, but we should not associate with them. So like practically na, like how we can, we just here it's mentioned like that na, that even if they insult us, call with ill names, still we have to tolerate and give respect and giving a smiling face to them. So how to understand this?
It looks like this instruction is to the Kshatriyas for their treatment of Brahmins. And what you are talking about is more like a blanket instruction by Lord Chaitanya to everybody, anyone who is trying to become a devotee, that for anyone who is trying to become a devotee, then they need to be Trinadapi Suni Chenata Roreva Sahishnuna. So it looks like this is a subset of it, where this is being like for Kshatriya to take away Brahman, or for them it is this kind of a punishment. For others, it may not be that kind of punishment in this class dynamics. But one may not be able to, because of the Lord Chaitanya's instructions or overarching instruction, between Brahmin devotees or between devotees who are trying to become Brahmin, when there is back and forth happening, then one may not be able to raise oneself to pure devotional platform because of offenses to the holy name, because devotees, because of the Trinadapi Sunichena not being done and the offense is being committed. That's what I see like this right now.
It just like now we are trying to establish Devi Varnashrama because and every devotee has their like particular inclination like Brahmana qualities, Kshatriya qualities. So in that case, if like a Brahmana devotee is there like that and a Kshatriya is doing like that, so it will applicable same like that just like Brahmanas. So if Kshatriya is acting like that,
I'm pretty sure Krishna doesn't give any exceptions, no. He doesn't say, oh, you're trying to be a devotee, then it will be. These are all his devotees. They were all Krishna's devotees. All these. I mean, of course, holy name can remove everything. The point is that knowingly one commits, then it is offensive. And I don't know how much then the holy name will be merciful. We don't know. We can't say, but this is what Krishna's instruction is to his devotees, boys, and relatives. Like when we pray to Tulsi Maharani, na, Yani Kani Cha Papani. So with that, the prayer is that if we with every walk, every step, our sins of committing even Brahma Hatya, the killing of Brahman is removed. So, but of course, if one purposefully does it, then I don't know how Krishna will let it fly. So, I mean, this is the punishment given. I don't know what is the relieving instruction given. Some other place it may be there. Anyone else about this? I mean, this is so horrible, huh? The stool in the condemned to at least 60,000 years as miserably as an insect in stool, become a serpent, Kumbhi Pak.
It's interesting to see the different interplay between the Brahmanas and the Kshatriyas. I mean, we see in the Srimad Bhagavatam and the Vedas that all of the different things that happen when the Brahmanas and Kshatriyas um, have their run-ins, their different interactions, and yeah, I think that it's very one has to be very, very careful. I mean, I think that comes down to trying to live and embody the principles that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu left us in the Shikshashtaka of thinking oneself lower than the straw in the street, devoid of all all sense of false prestige. This mindset is very valuable, and actually not just valuable, it's critical for making any progress in this material world, in free, becoming free from this material world, and that's not done, then we see over and over again, different instances where the Kshatriyas, are they're just put into so much more difficulty, and they have to take more births. They have to suffer for so many thousands of years because of pride and arrogance, and so that's what comes to mind when I hear this story.
So this this is because we were hearing Bharat Prabhu was last week he was mentioning about the Brahman and Kshatriya training, which Srila Prabhupada talks about specifically. And between them, the relationship is this so important for the whole society to progress. Because Brahman, see, the interdependency, the Kshatriya devotees generally, they may be having more of passion, because of which the regulation in practicing the morning programs becomes little less compared to someone who has more mode of goodness, because of which the morning program, the analytical in thought between the words, what Srila Prabhupada is saying, and in the Vedas becomes more and more acute, because of which the direction and the direction towards going towards Krishna becomes more difficult. Lack of it becomes difficult for Kshatriyas to do on their own and to take the whole community with them. And so in Devi Varnashrama, there is acute, like there's a necessity that devotees have, at least one or two devotees have this sattva guna quality, such that the morning program, the insight into the words of the scriptures is moment to moment, different circumstances will come, is in line with Krishna, Srila Prabhupada. Unless the Kshatri or the leader, like Gauranga Sundar Prabhu, you were talking last week about Vaishya, we were talking about Kshatriya or Brahmin, whatever, who in emergency, we accepted that yes, somebody or the other could lead. The problem is this, whether the person who is leading has the humility to knowing that I am in, incomplete in leading, without the sattva guna quality in large quantity, to be sure that I'm going in the right direction. I need these devotees. I need, first of all, these group of devotees, 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever, uh, to be guiding me, to be advising me, but also the humility to know when to take how much their instruction, like with really submissive qualities. And this is what is coming out from this, how Krishna is telling his boys and relatives, really, like, from the core, be humble to, they are your superiors. Yes, Bharat Prabhu?
Hare Krishna, Nimai Prabhu.
Hare
Hare Krishna,
Krishna,
dear
Bharat
devotees.
Prabhu.
Hari Hari Bol. My obeisances and Jai Prabhupada.
Yes.
Yeah, for last week I had prepared one verse from Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto, 17th chapter, verse 12 it is. In the translation, it says, He, Maharaj Parikshit, repeatedly addressed and questioned the bull thus, O son of Surabi, who has cut off your 3 legs in the state of the kings who are obedient to the laws of the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna? There is no one as unhappy as you. And in the purport, Srila Prabhupada says in the beginning, the kings or the executive heads of all states must know the code of Lord Krishna, generally Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam, and must act accordingly in order to fulfill the mission of human life, which is to make an end to all miseries of material conditions.
Can
Yeah,
you, one thing, which verse is this again, please?
Srimad Bhagavatam 1:17-12. Yeah, when you read from King Nriga and you're saying, yeah, generally Kshatriya needs to know I am insufficient, then I'm thinking that's so opposite to the nature of a Kshatriya. Kshatriya must feel like I'm strong, and and Kshatriya is prone to rather act impulsively. So here I get these codes of Lord Krishna, as you read from King Nriga, they are so fine, so intricate. How can we even understand? I feel like, oh, I better don't do anything when I hear that. There can be so many consequences, and then there's the weight of responsibility, and at the same time, Srila Prabhupada saying, generally we should know Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. So he makes it very, very easy for us, I get, as when you spoke with Hari Kirtan in the beginning about the different incomplete kshatriyas, the different forms of kshatriyas that are not full in their qualities, then I'm thinking, hardly we will get a kshatriya who is like 100% complete in terms of embodying all the qualities that are being described in Bhagavad Gita and in the other scriptures. So what can we do? What comes to my mind is then just training. Yeah, we have the qualities and we have the work. So I'm thinking of, I'm driving a car and I know my car is insufficient. It's not having all qualities. It's having some defects, and it's one specific car. Like one car is a truck. One car is a smaller city car. So first I need to know in which car am I. Do I have more Kshatriya or Vaishya or Brahminical qualities, Shudra qualities, and then I need to understand where are my defects, which qualities do I have, and which am I lacking, what is the gap. And then with some training, I can learn, okay, my car has the tendency to always, like I'm in a Ferrari. Okay, my car, if I hit the gas pedal, I'm gonna go like anything so fast, and there's a chance for me to crash into others. So I better take advice of others who guide me in driving, who know the course, and also training. Like, okay, I better tap the gas pedal very softly, or I'm aware I need to brake quickly. So is it that with the training we can counterbalance our qualities? I'm wondering.
You said a lot. Let us discuss those other things that you already said. And this purport is talking before we come to your last question, no problem. It's a lot of things this is very good. This point about any leader needs to be obedient to the laws of God, and then Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam are giving the laws of God, and anyone who is wanting to be a manager leader need to assimilate these within oneself. Otherwise, we should not be so eager to accept them. But we go to the next stage is that, as you are pointing out, that everyone would be insufficient. So the guidance of Brahminical nature becomes very important. So that's one thing which we first need to discuss, that this part, these two things, the leader should assimilate these two books, but knowing that one is not perfect, one need to accept the guidance, be ready to take guidance from Brahminical nature devotees too. I mean, the first thing which comes to my mind is the question how he should be enough assimilated that one can recognize whom to take guidance from and how to take guidance from, when to take guidance from. Now, this quality, I think, is because one could start taking guidance from devotees who may not have the right thought process in one's mind, the right consciousness, right devotion to the Lord and Srila Prabhupada. So just to discriminate devotees whom to associate with has to, that much assimilation should be there of Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam. I think it can't be just anybody can be leader like that. It has to have, so we can't trust a leader who doesn't know whom to discriminate, whom to accept guidance from. That's like the preliminary thing. Once that is done, then many of the things can fall into place, because of this combined guidance. What do you all think? Anyone?
Hare Krishna Prabhus. So this, you were saying, and I apologize, my attention was a little bit divided there, but about the Kshatriyas needing guidance. Actually, if you can, Nimai Prabhu, please.
So the thing is that we can't accept any leaders unless we come to can judge that these leaders at least are assimilating of Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam sufficiently to be able to discriminate whom to take guidance from, how
Right,
to
right.
guidance from,
I
take
I
guidance.
think this is very similar to, Srila Prabhupada has spoken about many times in, with his disciples about when you're looking at, whom to take as a spiritual master. He's encouraged his disciples that, you have intelligence. You should use this intelligence to understand who is qualified, you know. And so I think that this is in a very similar way, that you don't want to accept a leader who does not ultimately have the quality or the understanding that ultimately the goal is to become free from this material world, to serve Krishna, to please Krishna. That's if the leader has a different understanding, or their understanding is not mature enough, then that should be understood, or that you should be able to look out for that carefully. So while not as significant as taking a spiritual master, I think putting yourself in a position under a leader that is not focused in that direction, or being guided by the scriptures, or they do not take guidance themselves from individuals who are more transcendentally situated or more Krishna consciously focused, then that's you're putting yourself in a difficult position, in a dangerous position.
Rupa Manjari Mataji in the chat is talking about, I used to do that, meaning Lord Krishna's instructions to not cut or be upset by a Brahmana's criticism. But she says that I used to do that, and all it did was result in my total emotional and psychological self-destruction. Now I do not even tolerate injustice or abuse or false words from any source whatsoever. I speak my truth, fight for my rights, and wholly reject those who wish me ill. So this is the point, that discrimination, whom to take guidance from. If that is the quality we should have, and how much, how, when, to what degree, of course, how much, how to take also. Yes, Bharat Prabhu?
I'm just thinking that that there are two sides of the same metal, like coin. When we are tolerating, there's false tolerance, which leads to humiliation, and true tolerance, to know when to tolerate what from whom, that leads to humility. But it doesn't mean that both are the same thing, and that we should not tolerate anything anymore because our tolerance has led to humiliation. I think that is rather a misunderstanding of how am I driving my car, and I'm crashing with my car, and then I'm just coming to the conclusion, okay, now I don't tolerate anymore that others get their right, but I just get my right.
Definitely, this is a reaction when one does. One is not able to discriminate. It has happened to me many times that one, no, I was not able to discriminate, and it's my fault finally. That, I. So because of which one gets a reaction. Either we give guidance which is wrong out of false ego, and we get reaction from it, or we take guidance not discriminating the right people to take guidance from, and how much. And sometimes the brahmana, they, because they are not pure devotees, they could give guidance which is motivated, you know so one should know how much to take, like the essence out of it. Like it's very important to take and not be upset by their motives, mixed motives. So, because knowing that they are not pure devotees, they are trying to do their best and they're giving guidance, but I will take, they mean well, so I will take the right essence of it and then follow what, what is being talked, but in this situation and apply it here like this, like that. So that kind of discriminatory power and to deal with devotees expertly, that minimum is required of leaders. Otherwise, there will be reactions one way or the other. The wrong guidance could be taken up as the way to do it. You know, Otherwise, Brahmins can just run it. No, why do they need a Kshatriya to process it and then implement it? It's like why do you need so many other people? It's like bureaucracy. So the proper should be to how to take the essence out and then implement.
Like the swans taking the milk from the water.
Seems like that. So this is important. How to develop this quality, this discriminatory quality. See this pastime of Amrish Maharaj is there. You remember when Durvasa Muni came and he was so upset. Not upset. He wanted to go take bath in the. I mean, so he went to take bath. He was told to go take bath because he wanted to go take bath, and here Amrish Maharaj wanted to break the fast on Dwadashi, and he was waiting. The time was passing, so everyone was saying, there is a guest, so you have to wait for him to come before you start you eat something. And then Amrish Maharaj was being advised by other brahmanas that no, because this is more important for the whole of your kingdom that you perform the breaking of the fast on the right time, because then it will benefit you and the whole kingdom. So all the subjects. So he didn't know what to do. So and then it is described in the Srimad Bhagavatam that he thought over it and then he decided he will take water, because that is breaking the fast and not breaking the fast, just water. So that kind of discriminatory power, how to take the essence and then process it and do the right thing, that's important. And it doesn't mean, and that another thing is the Brahmin who are giving advice, they shouldn't become upset. Oh, he didn't take my advice. So what kind of Kshatriya is he? No, he should also have confidence that this Prabhu knows what he is doing, because he has shown it in his qualities. I don't know, but I can only give advice. My duty finishes there. I can observe it, but not to try to, become upset though he didn't take advice. That's also a big quality. So our Kshatriya should also, our leader should also see these devotees who are giving advice, whether they're becoming attached to their advice, and then their false ego is getting up or down, because of which then should a little bit back off from taking that advice, because that could have repercussions. So at least till they improve, that kind of so discriminatory power a leader should have dynamically. Varangasundar Prabhu, you would like to comment on something?
Yeah, Prabhu, I was just thinking, and I was the purport which Prabhupada says about, I mean, the purport where Krishna is saying about the Brahmana. This Brahmana definitely not a Vaishnava, because he's ill speaking and cutting and getting angry, so that's definitely he doesn't have Vaishnava quality. He doesn't have a Brahmana quality also because getting angry, so he doesn't have, Brahmajanti Brahmana. So he is a Brahmana without Brahmin qualities, without Vaishnava qualities. Even to that Brahmana, Krishna is saying you have to tolerate and offer. And Krishna is saying I offer obeisance to such Brahmana also. So it is not that only qualified Brahmana, you know, can what this purport tells, because if he's a qualified Brahmana, he will not get angry. He has control over anger, and he will not speak ill to anyone. So definitely, this Brahmana in question does have control over anger, and he speaks all kind of things. So even to that Brahmana, so then what what does this suggest? That is he Brahmana by birth, or he is not a perfect Brahmana? Even to that Brahmana, we have to be tolerant towards and accept what he is saying. So that is what my question, my understanding. What I'm not clear about this thing. Because definitely he has no control over anger and he is speaking ill. So he's not a Vaishnava. So the the Brahmana in question, you have to understand, the Brahmana in question is not a perfect Brahmana. And even to that, Krishna is offering obeisances.
Mhm.
I have a question, Prabhu. I'd like this brings up a very interesting topic that I have wondered over. And so there are two verses. One is, I believe it is in the Bhagavad Gita. I'm not positive. I hope that you guys can tell me where the verse is, but I've seen the purport many times. And it is where Srila Prabhupada states that the Kshatriya is responsible for protecting those that are under him, his citizens or his community or whatever he is responsible for, against those that profess to be Brahmanas but are not of the Brahminical quality. And I thought that was very interesting that Srila Prabhupada pointed that out, because it seems like it could be contrary to everything that we're discussing here. The deference and the respect that the Brahmanas are given. So, but then the Kshatriya is apparently given the discriminatory position to say that this Brahmana is not actually Brahmana. They're not following. They're not, like you were saying, Prabhu. So, does any of you know where that verse is? I wish I could find it and bring it up, but I don't. Unfortunately, I don't have the verse memorized where it is located.
And one more thing, does it also mean, that like Durvasa Muni and Ambrish Maharaj? Ambrish Maharaj was humble. He did not retaliate to Durvasa Muni's curse or anger. But he left it to Krishna and Krishna gave him punishment. So is that also that Brahmana can speak, we don't have to retaliate and leave the result in the hands of Krishna. Krishna will punish him or whatever Krishna wants to do. You know.
And the thing, the whole overarching is the Trinadapi Sunichena, Tarodeva Seshnuna.
Yeah, because Ambrish Maharaj was a Vaishnava, but normally kings are not not Vaishnava. So even for them, it was said, you have to just tolerate.
Mhm.
You know. Every king, every Kshatriya will not have Trinadapi Sunichena.
No, I'm saying within the devotee, we are talking of Devi.
Yeah,
So they need to cultivate that, no? So
yeah, absolutely.
taking it forward, what you are saying, that even if there is wrongly being ill names being spoken against any leader by the devotees who are like supposed to be Brahmins, still one should take the humble position all the time. One can't retaliate because let Krishna handle it, no, like Durvasa Muni or the other devotees should handle it. Like, what is this? Why are you unnecessarily doing all this thing? So let Krishna handle it another way, but the devotee should not try to retaliate. It sets a bad example.
Is that the verse, blind man leading blind man, Hari Kirtan Prabhu?
I don't believe so. It's in a purport, and then Srila Prabhupada is speaking about that the Kshatriya should see that Brahmana is actually acting as a Brahmana. That
That
I
is
believe is
yeah, that is the business to see whether the Brahmanas. That is the duty to
still under rules.
executing their duties, but not in terms of whether they are saying right or wrong, and I will punish and
No,
I'll.
no, no. But that there are many charlatans that will pose as Brahmanas,
Right, right. So
and the Kshatriya's duty is to protect the people from it.
and kill those people who are
I don't know. Where'd you put it? You had it. Where's your washer?
That is the responsibility that the population should be protected against unscrupulous, individuals will take advantage of the position that a brahmana is given. I wish I could remember the verse. I just recently somebody quoted it to me or shared it with me. I cannot remember.
This is from Srimad Bhagavatam 9.4. It's a different thing which I was telling you about the Maharaj Ambrish. The verse number is 38. In the meantime, only a Murta of the Dwadashi day was left on which to break the fast. Consequently, it was imperative that the fast be broken immediately. In this dangerous situation, the king consulted learned Brahmins. The king said, to transgress the laws of respectful behavior towards the Brahmins is certainly a great offense. On the other hand, if one does not observe the breaking of the fast within the time of Dwadashi, there is a flaw in one's observance of the vow. Therefore, O Brahmins, if you think that it will be auspicious and not irreligious, I shall break the fast by drinking water. In this way, after consulting with the Brahmins, the king reached this decision, for according to the Brahminical opinion, drinking water may be accepted as eating and also as not eating. When Maharaj Amrish, purport by Srila Prabhupada, when Maharaj Amrish in his dilemma consulted the Brahmanas about whether he should break the fast or wait for Durvasa Muni, apparently they could not give a definite answer about what to do. A Vaishnava, however, is the most intelligent personality. Therefore, Maharaj Ambrish himself decided in the presence of the Brahmins that he would drink a little water, for this would confirm that the fast was broken but would not transgress the laws for receiving a Brahman. In the Vedas, it is said, Apo ashnati tan neva shitam neva na shitam. This Vedic injunction declares that the drinking of water may be accepted as eating or as not eating. Sometimes in our practical experience, we see that some political leader adhering to satyagraha will not eat but will drink water. Considering that drinking water would not be eating, Maharaj Amrish decided to act in this way. So this is important, translating the laws of respectful behavior. So these are laws made, like what Krishna is saying. We can't transgress these laws on our whim.
It'll be interesting to know what happened to Sukracharya during Prahlad Maharaj's time, because before that he was there guiding Hiranyakashipu. After that, he was guiding Bali Maharaj. So in the Prahlad Maharaj's time, what happened? Was he chucked out? Was he still there in the, what was his, condition that time? Because Bali Maharaj was a devotee. Still, Sukracharya was there, as a priest in his sabha. And Prahlad Maharaj, was he still there that time or he was chucked out? Any clarification? Bhagavatam is there for this?
Yes, it would seem he was not chucked out. No?
So, when he was misguiding, he misguided his father, and still he was still there, not chucked out.
Mm-hmm.
That would be
I mean, because just like Brahmins, they were Brahminical activity they were doing, but he was not guiding towards Vaishnava behavior. So that
But
is
he was fully guiding Bali Maharaj. Even though Bali Maharaj did not take his guidance, he was instructing him what to do, what not to do.
that's the thing. All the Vedic injunctions he was saying, no, right thing, wrong thing, everything, except the point of guiding towards Krishna. And when it came to guiding towards Krishna, then Bali Maharaj understood I should reject, and he rejected. Or otherwise, he was following. So similarly, this is the point of a devotee of leader. They should not be trying to reject, or one advice is not good, or one time the Brahmin showed false ego, and
Discrimination power, discriminate nicely, what to take, what not to take, on that basis.
when to take, how much to take,
Yeah, yeah.
and still carry on with the Vaishnava relationships and the Brahminical laws and everything. And this is the core principle. being running a successful or a upward lifting society and not. Let's discuss it. No, all the other devotees, please do comment. Ramananda Prabhu is here. I know you listen first before you give your expert comments. And whenever you're ready, Prabhu.
Quickly, maybe the one that Hari Kirtan was looking for is Bhagavad Gita 3:21. Whatever action is performed by a great man, common men follow in his footsteps, and whatever standards he sets by exemplary acts, all the world pursues. That purport is it's relatively short, but
Okay,
there Srila Prabhupada is speaking exactly towards the duty of the king or executive of a state, father, school teacher, yeah, to be conversant with the books, moral, spiritual codes, and to protect the public, yeah, from being misguided. Or maybe it's more towards acting by example.
but they also naturally have a great responsibility to their dependents. Therefore, they must be
Yeah.
conversant with the standard books of moral and spiritual codes. This is also the king or the executive head of a state, the father and the school teacher are all considered to be natural leaders of the innocent people in general. So any society will have, any community will have many leaders. This is just some of the examples being given of leaders. There'll be many. Mhm. Tattvadarshina Prabhu, would you like to comment some more?
Hare Krishna Prabhu, I am only just to hear, no more comments.
You were talking about why the different communities are not developing.
Yes, Prabhu.
So what do you think, with your experience? What do you think may be going on, especially after today's discussion?
Yeah, I think it might be one reason is like that. What so far I know, most of the devotees are not aware that what Srila Prabhupada wanted is like remaining 50% of mission. Even some are dedicated like maybe 10, 15, 20, 25 years. But still, like it was very surprising and shocking that they're not aware about that Prabhupada wanted this Varnashram all over the world, these farm communities. And the other is like that most of the devotees are addicted to the city life, so not able to move out. And even if some devotees, those who are interested and those who are moved to the farms by the management or the mistreatment of leaders, so they have got frustrated, burnt out. So these are the things what I feel like three or four main reasons. One is like that some devotees are not aware, and the second is that even they are aware, they are not able to come out from the cities. And those who are interested, those who are willing and went to the farms because of the leaders or not like sober minded or just they want their own way to be things to be done, not to understand each and every devotee and to be like a father or like a mother to guide the. So this was what I feel, because this is the reason I feel, Prabhu. Maybe you can enlighten more on why devotees are not able to come to the farms.
This is very good. I mean, right now, we are talking about the third part. When the devotees are wanting to come, how to make sure that the devotees are able to properly have a structure in which they can live peacefully and happily. and productively in the
Yes.
society. So this structure is what we are, why we are going through all these things. I started this thing with the request that please help me build this structure. Now we have these two places where I would like to experiment doing this under the guidance of devotees. So, I mean, with all of you putting in your time, valuable time, a lot of understanding is coming in me. What kind, so many things I didn't think about. Like all these things are coming out even last couple of weeks. So, I mean, what is coming to me is first of all, anybody who takes the lead in trying to build a community needs to first figure out who are the devotees whom one is going to take guidance from, like publicly. It should be available for the guidance. And then figure out for which purpose, how much, like all these are things to be, because many times the guides also, they are not, because they are not perfect, they may start to guide devotees in the community against the leader, you know, not knowing what they are doing many times. And that may also be counterproductive. That can, then, so they also need training how to guide. Maybe that is how we should come to next week onwards. Like Brahmin, how to judge Brahminical devotees and how to guide, how they should guide. What are the different different environment in which the guidance should be given. So it should be laid out properly. You know, it's not just the duty of the Kshatriya to figure, like leaders to figure out how am I taking guidance. It's like a structure should be put together, and the advisors also should know this is how I should be giving advice.
I like that point that you say start with some checks and balances, some governance, so that everyone can check: do I trust the Brahminical leaders leading the Kshatriya? And at the same time, that you're pointing out that there is some potential of fault, because maybe they are also not pure, or someone is not trusting them. So ideally, I would love that the outcome of these sessions here in a year or years is more structure, is like standards, is like, okay, this is like the best practices, this is the standard that devotees who are following Srila Prabhupada, they should seek out for, and then how to apply them, that is then a different game, and that should be guided by Brahminically inclined Prabhupada-nugas. I think for my personal taste and commitment in life, and yeah.
I mean, the thing I found between Prabhupada Nugas as a concept, I'm saying a theoretical concept. I'm not going to devotees. Theoretical, taking Srila Prabhupada's guidance versus somebody taking Srila Prabhupada mixed with other devotees' guidance. I find that the chances, the potential chance of being going to very high level of Brahminical guidance is more when one is surrendering purely to Srila Prabhupada, because it is truth. Nectar of Instruction, Srila Prabhupada also writes that one can also take the, but they can't advance too much under the insufficient guidance of neophytes and madhyamadhikaris. So because of which we practically experience also, one can see. So Srila Prabhupada can guide one to the highest levels of Vaishnava and Brahminical consciousness, because of which taking guidance of devotees who are fully dependent on Srila Prabhupada or largely at least trying to be, that is more the potential to be guided to in a better way is more when one is taking guidance from them.
Yeah, chances are higher that there's more purity. Yeah, purity is the force, and who other than the pure devotee can give that. Mm.
Like why people are going towards a personal guru is many times because the other classes, they need a personal guru. That is the whole point of, I mean, not point, but the difference is like Brahmana, that's why they are considered gurus, because Brahma Janati iti Brahmana. You know, they are going to Brahman, the non-material, the spiritual guidance from the heart, but the others are not able to do so much, so that's why they are going to the Brahmin. Please guide us. And so they were the spiritual masters of all the families. Like each Brahmin would have 6, 7, 10 families whom they would be guiding in every aspect of the life. They were like local gurus like that. And so it just once tends to go towards a personality for guidance if one is not able to do it from inside the heart. So it figures that when one is already thinking, no, I can take Srila Prabhupada's guidance with the help of other devotees and Krishna in the heart, then automatically there is one level of Brahminical, much more consciousness is prevalent. Um, One can assume, may not be all the time, but one can assume that based on these principles.
Prabhu, ISKCON setting, temple setting is, we have a very clear cut model for that, what to do, what not to do. But in Devi Varnashram, we are very small, not even started. But after 200 years, there will be questions that will come.
Mhm.
What about protein food, protein, rich food for Kshatriyas?
Yeah.
Because in Vedic it is allowed. What about polygamy? It is allowed in for Vaishnavas, for Kshatriyas, for Grahasthas is allowed. So how will Daivanashram deal with these things? Then what will happen to the four agreed principle?
Yeah.
So these questions, will also be, going to come forward, you know. And how what? Yeah, no, you're not. I can't hear you.
No, they are easy to handle because see, when one is trying to become a Vaishnava, mode of passion will has to reduce because it will reduce because we know 1 to 18, 1 to 16, 1 to 17, 1 to 18 are like that. Bhagavatam. By this.
Understand? You're good, but we are just talking of a community. Suppose tomorrow we have a country. Country needs defending also. For defending, you need Kshatriyas who can fight. They will need all kinds of things. So how will we deal with that time? You have to understand. And then there'll be an imbalance of male and female that time also. Same thing can happen. There can be less male, more female. How will you balance out those things?
Yes.
So,
Are all important points. What I am saying is the leaders, no, in a Devi Varnashrama, we need to select leaders who have less of passion. And when it is not, let's say we are selecting devotees and they are taking guidance, they will have very tough time to take guidance from people, mainly to take them to Sankirtan as the goal of the human society. Sankirtan Yagya, that's the primary goal, Hare Nam Kevalam. If one is, otherwise, I was just hearing lecture before our discussion, Srila Prabhupada was talking about, what is it, Maya Avaranitika Shannam. There is a covering of Maya which is so prominent in mode of passion and ignorance. They can't see beyond this curtain. So, of Maya. So of body consciousness and all these things that you're talking about. So the leaders, they need to, in a Devi Varnashram, they need to have these kind of, little bit, a good amount of sattva guna. They may have some component of passion, which they should be able to control and harness properly. So now, as far as the other kshatriya, let's say people have to fight, people have to like smaller management, yeah, all what you are saying, they will have much more passion, and for them it is necessary sometimes to eat meat and other things. I mean, of course, more one is becoming Brahmin, then what are devotee, then they will start to control, and they'll see, I can replace it with many other protein things, and all these other activities, I will be able to reduce it. So I mean, I may be able to replace with the meat thing, but as Srila Prabhupada says, still the fighting tendency, the blood, like people have to go out and kill animals. Even great devotees like Yudhishthir Maharaj, Arjun, Srila Prabhupada talked about the Jaipur kings. They were going and doing the
I mean,
shooting.
most of the Kshatriyas were doing it, even though they were Vaishnava, they were, you can see them,
They
they
were
were
not
engaging.
eating. They were
Arcade, yeah.
eating. They were not eating, but they were practicing killing animals.
Practice, yeah, yeah.
Jaipur kings were all pure devotees, so many in generations, and still they were going and killing. Srila Prabhupada says that. So, I mean, so all these things will be there, but there'll be some Kshatriyas who are killing and eating also. Srila Prabhupada talks about that also, that Shudras and sometimes Kshatriyas are also permitted. Because of this reason, they have so much passion.
Yeah, so then what will happen to the four active principle?
So see, the Vaishnavas, no, they don't need to be initiated, no. Once they become chanting and everything, then when they reach a certain level of commitment, because they are giving their services to Krishna through the devotees. Bhagavad Gita 12.10 is exactly like that. If you cannot follow the sadhana bhakti principles, then you work for me. So that's the whole Varnashrama concept. People are wherever they are at, you bring them higher and higher and higher and higher from wherever they are at.
Yeah, so
So
community will have to be ready for all these kind of,
even now it will be ready, not 200 years, even now. Like meat, this, that, so many things we have to see properly, where if someone is really innocent and wanting to increase one's devotion and everything and just needs that guidance, for some years they may have to eat meat. We should provide that on the site. Srila Prabhupada talks about it. Shudras, they are given the tendency. So, and in all,
yeah, Shudras, Chandalas, who wants to become, devotees. So all kinds of people, like fish.
yeah.
So much fish eating is there in India, So if you want to really have Devi Varnashram, then you can't expect them to everyone, I mean they'll become Vaishnava only, They don't need Devi Varnashram then. But gradually if they have to be elevated, then there has to be a place where they can, eat also and gradually develop also. So that has to be there.
Quality of trying that innocence, and innocent meaning ready to take instruction, wanting to be sincerely trying to improve, trying to submissively, trying to be more and more submissive to the devotees. That is the quality. Everyone, most of more or less, can be lifted up with the holy name in some time. Srila Prabhupada showed that with his own example, coming to the West and seeing like all the meat eaters, everything, and just by the presence and Hari Kirtan and Bhagavatam gradually lifting them up. So that will have to be provided, but not that just that becomes a way to a community living where everybody is okay, whoever one is eating, just because it is. I mean, they should be on an upward path, like it talks about in the 4th chapter, last verse, Bhagavad Gita. Let me bring that up.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. I was able to find the reference.
Yeah.
And it was a conversation in London, September 2nd, 1973.
One
It's a
second,
conversation.
I'm bringing it up, Prabhu.
I posted it to the group.
Okay. Conversation. Can you tell me 19?
1973,
Uh-huh.
September 2nd.
Okay.
Well, it's like second paragraph or such in the conversation. So he quotes, go down, you can go down, I can see. So first he quotes the verse from Srimad Bhagavatam. And then down further, someone asks, one moment, let me do this number. So let's see, you can scroll down further. A lot that he had to say there. There we go. Down further a little bit. There we go. That now we go down. So if one wants to know, oh no, here we first of all, you must become graduate. That's where he starts. That section. No, down at the bottom of the page there, Prabhu. There. First of all, there you go, right there. That one.
Prabhupada, first of all, you must become a graduate. Then you should take entrance in the law college. Then you must learn. So what is God? What is inquiry? That is the inquiry, but it requires training. And that is Vedic Dharma. Varnashrama Dharma. Varnashrama Dharma. Varnashrama Charavata Purushena Parapuman. Madhyalila 858. Anyone who has taken to this system of Varnashram Dharma, 4 Varnas, Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaishya and Shudra, and 4 ashram, brahmachari, grihastha, vanaprastha, sannyas. Unless one takes to this institution education, he is no more than an animal, institutional. No? So to know God means he must become a Brahman, real qualified Brahman. Therefore, Brahman is respected because Brahma Janati Brahmana. But there is no law, lawless country. Therefore, one is passing as a Brahman without any knowledge of Brahman. That is the defect. Formally, the government will see. I was explaining this morning that it is the Kshatriya's duty to see that one is passing as a Brahman, whether he is qualified. Why he should pass? Suppose he says, I am a medical man. He must be qualified. And if he says, I am a medical man, then he's cheating. So you cannot call yourself a Brahman unless you are qualified. But that is going on, and this is cheating is being accepted. And this cheating is being accepted. Therefore, this Varnashram Dharma, Hindu Dharma or Vedic Dharma means Varnashram Dharma. One must first of all accept the principles of Varnas and Ashramas. Then there is question of understanding God. God is not so cheap thing. This is any Kshatriya should see that a Brahman is qualified, then take one's guidance, or one just by calling, there should be a.
So it is an interesting interplay because the Kshatriyas are responsible to see that everyone is performing their duty properly. But at the same time, also they have to be very careful how they treat the Brahmanas. Everyone has to be careful how you treat the Brahmanas because the consequences can be very severe. The Brahmanas are such elevated and valuable. They're so dedicated and so dear to Krishna. They're so valuable. But it's an interesting balance in the situation that if one is a qualified Brahmana, then absolutely all respect should be given. All should be treated like God. But that understanding of whether or not one is qualified, that is not that no one can how would you say, but there is no critique or measure that no one else can measure. Only Brahmanas can measure a Brahmana. This actually is not correct. It's the responsibility of the Kshatriya to see that, okay, some person is
that much one should know who is qualified, who is not qualified.
Yeah.
Next week we can discuss this.
There was also another point that I wanted to bring up. I mean, some time has passed and the conversation has shifted, but still, we were discussing about the the criticism or the pointing out of a flaw or such like that, or compassion. And in the Srimad Bhagavatam, I can bring up the exact verse as soon as I stop driving. Where Maharaj Parikshit is chastising Kali. He's found, I believe this is it. One moment. I have it here. Yeah, Maharaj Parikshit this is in first canto, chapter 17, text 22. And so there's this dialogue going back and forth between Maharaj Parikshit and Kali. And he's, and Dharma. That's what it is, not to Kali, but Dharma. And he's saying, you, oh, you who are in the form of a bull, you know the truth of religion, and you are speaking according to the principle that the destination intended for the perpetrator of irreligious acts is also intended for one who identifies the perpetrator. You are no other than the personality of religion. Really, I thought that this was very interesting that, because this was being some time ago, I was in a discussion with someone about another devotee about this concept, because within ISKCON we have seen so many individuals that have done terrible things. But this person I was discussing with was pointing out, they said, oh, well, we shouldn't point out the flaw. We should not, we should have compassion and we should forgive and we shouldn't point it out. And I thought that this, to a certain extent I can understand, but to ignore it completely, then this cannot be, I don't know, it did not seem correct to me. So I looked up this verse, and Srila Prabhupada actually elaborates on this. And he says in text 29, I believe it's the purport. This age of Kali will certainly be full of all activities of Kali, but this does not mean that the leaders of society, the executive heads, the learned and intelligent men, and above all, the devotees of the Lord should sit down tightly and become callous to the reactions of the age of Kali. So he is speaking that, those that are in a position of responsibility, like I was saying earlier, they should not be too forgiving or to overlook, things too easily. Then it leads to the degradation of society. And so it's a very careful balance that has to be maintained, and that is moderated by the advisors that they take, that they listen to and such. I apologize if I'm repeating myself, but these were stuck in my head and I had to go and find them.
But they must be ready with sharp swords. Mm. So it's coming to more and more that it's a combined effort, combined governance. It's not one person. It's an institution, institutional governance. So this whole thing about one king, one leader, it's all not correct from the Vedic perspective. They're so much under the laws and so much under the guidance. Confucius teachings, they are also like that. I'm saying before Buddha, there was Confucius, there was this philosopher in China. So his teachings are also that the leader should be under the laws of the scholars, the intellectual class who are reading and Yeah, under their guidance. And if they go transgress, then they can remove him, or they can chastise, or they can punish him. Mm. That's why you see these huge, long dynasties in China, Japan, South Korea, these countries were under the Confucius teachings, because they had like long reigns, because they were under these scholars. They had laws under which the whole thing was functioning.
So there was this constitution is there, and then as per that you have to govern. If the Kshatriya goes outside the constitution, then the Brahmana can punish him or remove him. If the Brahmana goes, then the Kshatriya can do the same thing to them. So these are set of rules and regulation, laws are there, and you have to govern as per that.
Mm.
So I think those laws were the topmost, and everyone had to go around that.
So what basically we are doing is trying to come up with those laws for a Devi Varnashram community. I think that's what we should think about. A constitution with, it's not just a constitution, Gaurang Sundar Prabhu, because
Like Manusmriti, Manusmriti was laws of, given by Manu. So by that you have to govern. So like that kind of, as per Prabhupada's book, we should come up with some rules and regulations, some laws, and then as per that, the Kshatriya governs, the Brahmana governs, the Vaishya governs, the Sudra works. That way.
so basic constitution is the constitution, the core principles are there, the rights, all these things. And then on top of it is these are all, the laws are given. And they could be modified as we go along and times change and things like that. But the principles remains the same. Like Sankirtan, the main purpose of the whole thing is Sankirtan mission. That cannot be changed, because Lord Chaitanya has already said like that, and Kali Yuga has set the instruction and example. So things like that is
Yeah, like any constitution, some laws are which cannot be changed, some can be amended. So that kind of thing. The fundamental principles that cannot be changed, and then there can be amendments to different as per time, place, circumstance.
I think I'm really feeling this is the direction we should go. This kind of forum, and if we can include more devotees, should go towards bringing up this kind of um, constitution and the laws and such, the rules, regulations. Bharat Prabhu, what do you say? Hmm.
I'm saying sums up 100%. Yeah, I mean that is what all communities need at the end, and it starts with a constitution. I don't think it's just a constitution, and a constitution needs to be individual per community, but based on Srila Prabhupada's books and based on a framework that is guiding the roles, the four different categories, Varna, Ashram, and then we learn from applying it. We need to learn and share with others. A constitution is being influenced by the bigger law or bigger law books, and there must be some parts that in certain circumstances they are obligatory, and sometimes you can waive them, and so it's a framework of do's and don'ts, and when and how to apply those rules in a way that one cannot be whimsical. Yeah. Yeah, that's
The responsibilities, the powers, everything is defined there.
yeah. The roles and responsibilities, for example, I think they should be clearly defined in like a framework, and then for the constitution for one specific community, let's say Gopal farm, then we look at, okay, the role of this and that, how can we apply it? How can we apply it to the climate and the structure, infrastructure, and everything in Florida? And how can we apply it in New York? How can we apply it according to the culture, according the national law, and so on? And then specifically, we need to even go further for the persons that are living in that community, how to interpret these guiding principles. What are the wider values, the mindset to cultivate, and there needs to be trainings to cultivate the mindset, and we need to create clarity. What are the values we are building on? What are the principles? And then we need to have the tools and the processes and all of that, and to apply it in the context of a constitution. So I think there are a lot of puzzle pieces that need to come together individually and as a wider international community that we are as we are getting together here. You're sharing your screen, right?
Constitution is a body of fundamental principles or established precedents according to which a state or other organization is acknowledged to be governed. So first we have to come up with the fundamental principles.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
So now what we had this discussion, which kind of community you're talking about? We're talking about a rural farm community, or we're talking about the Varnashrama college, because these are the two kinds of rural community kind of thing which Srila Prabhupada has indicated to us.
Mm-hmm.
So I am trying to develop Varnashrama college, and I would like
Mm-hmm.
constitution for that. And we have gone through this discussion why my argument is that we should first do Varnashrama college, and then it gradually that forms the subsequent constituents for a self-sufficient rural community. And if we can discuss that next week about whether we are doing that or what we are doing. But then once, I would like it to be for Varnashram College, but everyone should be in agreement. And then we try to develop that constitution for that community.
I do see one more option to start one step earlier, namely with the principles that are working for both.
Is that possible?
I do think so. If you think of a constitution, one constitution, if that's for you, one constitution for all Varnashram colleges, then it's different of what I'm thinking of. I think that would be too specific. I think there can be one blueprint. There can be one blueprint, but then it needs to be tailored for the different cases.
Okay, maybe let's take it to the next week then, and we can discuss this. So next week, should we discuss the constitution and for which community? And because this would require starting from Brahmin duty qualifications, Kshatriya duty qualifications, Vaishya duty qualifications, all of this. Yeah. Like what we have been doing is actually trying to build the different constituents of
what we could do is we look at the constitution, like I was asking Nityananda Prabhu if we can look at his constitution that he made for New Jaipur, and he confirmed. So looking at that constitution, from that perspective, I think there will be different constitutions for different village communities or rural communities, as you say, rural farm communities. But there can be a blueprint, or there can be principles that are like a overlap between the Varnashram College and the rural farm communities. If we focus on that first, we're going into the right direction anyway, and then we can look at, okay, what is more specific for one and more specific for the other.
Okay, let's do that then next week. Great. And during the week, if we can research this thing more and post some things on the group, that will be wonderful to keep our juices going. Whenever we in our readings and other places, we find any good quotes of Srila Prabhupada or some thoughts come to our mind, please do keep the fire burning. Okay. Any last thoughts from anyone else? Ranchor Prabhu, you have anything? You always remain so quiet.
No, Prabhu.
Okay. Are you available now to speak, Prabhu, for some time?
Myself, Prabhu. Yeah, I'm available, Prabhu.
I'll call you soon then.
Sure, Prabhu.
Okay, Hare Krishna, every devotee. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha. Kripa sindhu
Kripa sindhubhyo cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo